Did you put Christmas on a credit card? Don't stress out about that extra holiday spending. SaveWithConrad.com can help you consolidate all of your high interest rate credit cards into one much lower monthly payment. SaveWithConrad.com has helped families just like yours save up to $800 a month. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket. And did I mention no payments until March? So don't make saving money a resolution next year. Make it happen today at SaveWithConrad.com.
Words are about to be spoken here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, presented to you by the ad-free shows and podcast Heat Networks. I'm John Alba. That guy right there is the broken one, the woken one, the spoken one himself.
Yes, indeed.
Mr. Matt Hardy, coming to us from the Hardy compound this week. How we doing, man?
Doing good, man. Coming to everyone here from the Hardy compound, and from the Hardy compound, we are here live for the top guys and the top gals. Thank you guys for joining us right now. And I'm really excited about this discussion we're about to have. I love having discussions.
Yes, because anytime, Matt, that I think that I'm going to be able to like sleep in and actually have some degree of mental rest, I'm never quite allowed to have that. Last night.
Oh, bro, please share your story. I would love to share.
I know yours is right there too. Last night, I had a horrible commute home 2 nights ago. A tragic thing happened while I was commuting home.
You got stuck, right?
I got stuck. There was an incident with the train that I was on where I'm fairly certain someone lost their life. Pretty sad stuff. And I didn't get home till like 3-4 in the morning from work. And I was like, the next day, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to get more than 4 hours of sleep today. And I don't know about you. I sleep with my phone on buzz, on vibrate.
Oh boy.
So it's like 7 a.m. and I just hear zzz, 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 zzz. It was one after another. All these people texting me. Eric Bischoff texting me, calling me. We gotta go on air.
We gotta go. Get up. Let's go.
Right. So, and we will talk about why that was on today's Extreme Life. But I hear Gothic Baby had your hands full today as we tape this.
Yeah, today for sure. She's notorious for it. She loves to get up in the middle of the night, and I feel like, so sometimes my wife we sleep together in our bed. Sometimes I take the boys and then she sleeps in the room beside where Evie is. That's where our room is, beside Evie's room. So she just got back home and I'd hung out and we'd slept there, and first time her being back in a week, we hung out, had a good time last night, and then we were doing this also this last night leading into this morning, and then I ended up leaving there about 1 o'clock in the morning. I was going to go up and then sleep with the kids. Just also too, my nose broken 7 times. I snore, and she's a very light sleeper, so I'll wake her up throughout the night. So anyway, I said, okay, well, I'll go do this. I'm hanging with the boys. I wake up at like 2:30. I have to use the bathroom, and it takes me a little while, like 15-20 minutes to get back to sleep. And I already set my alarm for 8 because I wanted to get up early. I was still hoping to get a good night's sleep. And then at 4 o'clock in the morning, I hear someone tugging on the door, and then the door opens, and I was just like, is that Rabbi? And it was Evie, and she had 2 bottles of milk. One was like half full, one was 3/4 full. And she said, Dada, just looking at me like she's ready to party. And I think she knows that's where all her brothers are. They'll go up to that room and they'll play. Like, I feel like she keeps coming up to us. She keeps coming up to me because she knows I'm always up first. I'm the first one up every morning. And I think she comes up there because it's like, oh, this is fun. It's time to go party. And I was like, girl, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, and I grabbed her and tried to lay her and like shove the boys over so we can sleep. So there's like 5 of us sleeping in this king bed, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm trying to hold her, and she's like tossing and turning. I can't fully get her to go back to sleep. Finally, at 5:30, I came back. I made her a hot new bottle. I took her into her room and I sat there and I sat with her and I rocked her and I read to her and I sang to her until she went to sleep. And it was like 6:15 when it was all said and done. And then I went back up, and then I was up at 8, and like the day was starting. So, I slept a couple hours here and there, and that's like all I got last night. It was just really, when I was explaining to Rebby, I drove her out to an appointment she had today, and I was explaining to her when I spoke to you, I said, yeah, was it yesterday? I said, wait, that might have been today. Today's been really long. And it really was. We were talking about the news, the whole Netflix news. So it was a long ass night, man. And I tell you what, man, it's crazy when you get with kids and like you have to put them first and foremost. And like you have to, prioritize them ahead of you, and they're sleeping. It makes it tough sometimes. It makes you look back at when you were single and you're like, holy fuck. I used to complain about being busy and not sleeping. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? And I'm sure anyone who has, especially multiple kids, 2 to 3 kids, can say that same thing.
I just love the visual of her coming into your room, double fisted milk, Stone Cold Steve Austin style.
And the reason she was double fisted is because if she runs out of milk, she comes up to me first thing and like, Dada, make it, because she knows her mother won't. Because she's like, get in the bed. Get in the bed. And then, like, if I'm in there, she'll just come get me there. And she'll, Dada, come make me milk. And anyway, she saw I wasn't in that room. And then she came up to the other room. And I had taken and made her 2 full bottles of milk. So she had, and she drank like, a quarter out of one and like half of the other. And she just came up like that, with both of them, double fisted. Like she was Stone Cold Steve Evie. You know what I mean? So wait, Stone Cold Evie Austin. Like, what the hell, man?
Stone Cold. She was Steve Austin. I like it. We got Mouthpiece Murphy in here. What's going on, brother? We got Josh Fields in here as well. It's another wonderful
What up,
day
Josh?
he says it is a wonderful day. Hey, I don't want to spill too many details because we're still ironing the fine print out, but I guess we could give a
crossing
little
the T's. Crossing the T's, dotting the I's.
I guess we can give some teaser because it's going to happen. We just don't want to put all the details out here. But Matt, we've got a special announcement for WrestleMania weekend, don't we?
We do. And that special announcement is we are going to be bringing a live Extreme Life of Matt Hardy with myself and with John Alba to WrestleCon over WrestleMania weekend. And we are pumped about it.
Yes, very, very excited for that. We don't have all the details finalized, but hypothetically speaking, you should probably circle Friday WrestleMania weekend on your calendar because it is going to be worth your while as Matt and I bring the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy live to the stage. Our live shows are some of the best live shows you're going to find in the podcast circuit. Extremely interactive, always a lot of fun. You never know who's going to show up during them. And especially that weekend, man, there's so many wrestling legends in town. Anything could happen in the World Wrestling Federation, right?
These wrestling legends, they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
That'd be fun if we could get him up there with us.
Right. That would be for sure.
And King Booker up there. Yes, Mouthpiece Murphy. It is wonderful that we'll be doing that. So we will have a great time. Stay tuned to the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy social media. We'll have the announcements there. And hopefully next week we can give you the fine details of that. Because it's going to be fun, man. WrestleMania week over there in Philadelphia, a great wrestling city. You got any favorite Philadelphia wrestling memories?
I think one of my favorite memories at Philadelphia is we've talked about this probably ad nauseum on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. Whenever we didn't win the first TLC match, Vince said, well, just too many people. It's too predictable. They know that you guys are going to win, so we can't do it here. We'll just do it at the next pay-per-view. So at Unforgiven, the cage match, which was in Philly, the Philly crowd was so behind us, and there was a lot of sympathy on us, and people really did just want to win. And I remember we got such a great reaction. And there have been times in the past, especially before we started with Michael Hayes and we did the makeover and the evolution of the Hardys. Philly would do that where they would give a shit sometimes, like, look at these 2 clean-cut babyface pussies. What are they doing? We don't want them here. We're Philadelphia, damn it. EC Dub, EC Dub, EC Dub. So they were like, get these 2 pretty boys out of here. But they did. They showed us a lot of love on that occasion. And that match, obviously, is when we were deserving of being the tag team champions. The first time around when we won the titles did a lot more for us than we did for the titles. But I think the second time that we won the titles, we did a lot for the titles. We did more for the titles than they did for us because we were that over and we were that hot at that time. And I feel like it was something we truly deserved. And it was a very proud moment. And that happened.
Yeah. I mean, look, you guys should have won TLC 1, but The cage match is one of your better matches of your career. It's an excellent cage match. We've watched that. That is in the archive, extremehardy.com. Go out of your way. I think a lot of people look at that as one of the better tag team cage matches ever. So go out of your way to watch that, and some of the tomfoolery that would happen after that match, as well. As we know, you were thrown for quite the loop on the back end of that.
Yes.
And that was because of the unpredictable nature of television at the time, and that is what we're going to be talking
What a
about.
segue!
Yeah, on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy this week, because, Matt, we have some seismic shifts in the television landscape of the professional wrestling world that is going to affect, on a trickle-down basis, pretty much every company out there, and the future of pro wrestling as is. And I want to talk to you about it because I want you to help contextualize what these changes have been like as talent throughout the years as you've seen these shifts from the late 90s into where we are in the television landscape today. That is going to be something that we will be hitting on, and it should be a lot of fun. Very much looking forward to having this conversation. Brother Nero had a match with Darby Allin this week. Brother Nero, man, he was giving Darby the business a little bit. What'd you think of that?
I liked it. I was a big fan of the match. I thought he had an excellent performance, and it's funny because he didn't even talk to anyone after the match. He had an early ass flight, and he, he's like all about it. He was going to get out of there, and he was going to try and get back to the hotel because they went on last. They were last on the show, and he was trying to do all he could to beat the crowd out and not be stuck in traffic at all. So, he was happy with the match, and apparently AEW was as well, because I see tomorrow on Dynamite. Right now we're doing this is Tuesday night. Wednesday this week on Dynamite, he is facing Swerve, Shane Strickland, which should be a pretty impressive match as well. And I would imagine I'll be out there to watch out for all those silly ass Mogul Embassy members, because there's several of them.
They don't respect
dancing.
They don't respect the living legend.
Of course they don't. I mean, if you don't respect the living legends, the tag team goats, Matt and Jeff Hardy, then it's probably not a good thing for you. That probably means karma's going to end up coming crashing down on you.
Yeah, and when it comes crashing down, it hurts inside.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you are right.
That's the rumor and innuendo. Okay, lastly, Matt, before we
the legends, the living legends, the tag team goats, they have been saying their prayers and eating the vitamins, brother.
That's true. That's true. Now, before we get into the main discussion, I got to ask one more thing. It is Royal Rumble week, always one of the most exciting weeks in pro wrestling. You have a pick for us on the men's and women's Rumbles that you'd like to share?
I think the men's Rumble is going to either be Cody Rhodes for the second year straight or Punk. One of those two.
Well, you got to pick one. Come on.
What if they tie? Like Lex Luger.
Like Luger Hart style?
Yeah, like Luger and Brett. I'm going to go with, just for the fact that I feel like they would make Cody earn it in some other way to get into the match, I'm going to say Punk as of right now.
Okay, so you're going with CM Punk winning the men's side. What about on the women's side? You got any picks there?
On the women's side, I mean, I honestly, I could see Becky Lynch winning it. I could see going Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley again, doing that, making that a big marquee match.
Yeah.
How about you, John? Who are your picks?
Well, I'll be doing my in-depth preview show on WrestlingAccordingToAlba.com, of course, this weekend.
Well, just a little teaser here before we get into.
But I'll give you a little something. This is not my final pick because I still got to think about this a little more. I want to really debate it, but I do believe my gut says right now that Cody wins the Royal Rumble again, and I think wins the Royal Rumble on the women's side.
Interesting pick.
I think Becky Lynch will win the Elimination Chamber, and I think CM Punk will win the Elimination Chamber.
Okay.
What were you going to say?
So we almost have this flip, then the Punk Cody thing.
I could see it being in reverse too.
Right.
I could see it being where Punk wins the Rumble, and then Cody wins the Chamber, and then Bayley wins the Chamber, and Becky wins the Rumble. But I do think those are probably two. My one wild card. Really curious to see if we see Jade Cargill in the WWE ring for the first time this weekend, because
Yeah.
what a way to debut her that would be if she
Right.
were to win the Royal Rumble. That would certainly be something. Maybe some surprise entrance on the men's side. Maybe Hurricane shows up again.
That'd be a hell of a debut. I don't think Hurricane's going to show up.
No,
He just said he's not ready to show up.
too old.
No, no, just he just stayed so busy. I don't think he's gotten into the shape he wants to be if he's going to get in there.
That's fair.
But I guess never say never.
There have been some rumors Sean Waltman might be popping up, which would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Big X-Pac guy.
Yeah.
Josh Field saying Wrestling According to Alba is worth all the wee fees. I would agree.
All the wee fees. That's all it is. Remember, guys, it's just a wee fee. It's
Very
not
wee
much at all.
fee.
It's a
Very
wee
wee fee.
fee.
All right, Matt. We are talking about the future of pro wrestling television on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. But before we can, please hit us with that Matt fact.
Matt fact: Matt shall always reside in Cameron.
That's it. Because you've told me in the past you thought about Florida at one point. You've thought about some other areas, but why the declaration there?
We were just talking about the travel that she had to Spain and just traveling in general. I just here, man, this is my home, and just home is where the heart is. It's just where I grew up. I've been here for 50 years now, and I just don't really see it changing. I could see getting someplace else if I bought some other property somewhere that I would travel to and spend part of the year, especially if it was somewhere warmer. That would be nice. But I mean, I just feel like this is where I belong. And I think until my final days, I will my base is going to be here at the Hardy compound in Cameron, North Carolina.
Could you see some other properties down the line?
Oh, as far as buying other properties?
Yeah, like maybe you got your Tampa home. Like that's the gimmick when you get older
Yes.
as a wrestler.
Yeah. No, sure. I could.
Like as a wrestler, you have to live in Clearwater at least once in your life.
For sure. I've lived there for a week, so I'll count
it. We always used to joke about that. You could go on a jet ski down the water in Clearwater, and you'd pass like 15 pro wrestlers' houses on the way down there. And I know our pal Carl Anderson, who just celebrated a birthday this past week, is
he
did.
There.
So
happy birthday, Hot Carl. Happy birthday, Chato.
Happy birthday to him. This week, the day before the Rumble, is my big 3-1, bro. 3-1.
That's right.
Not B1, but 3-1.
You got it.
It's,
goodness gracious! Can you believe that? Friday night, it happens the day this drops, right?
Yeah.
That's right, guys. This is John's birthday. Even though we're taping out of order, let's sing him happy birthday. You guys ready? You join in. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear John. We won't delete you. It's true.
I think I've heard you sing that song enough to your kids that I know how the gimmick goes.
God.
Thank you.
I've done it over 2,000 times on Cameo. I do know
That's
that.
true. That's true. Mouthpiece, wherever he says he's singing, we just can't hear him. Well, thank you for that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for singing along. Hey, Barty, what's up?
Is this the right way?
Let me see. Yes, this is the right way. Okay, go rock those shoes, dude. They are working in the dome of deletion.
Love it. I saw you had them going through wrestling training this past weekend. So
oh my god, I've got to clip this footage up. Like we got in the ring, they were wrestling one another, and I got in there and wrestled them. And then yesterday, I wrestled each one of them individually, and it's Maxwell recorded me versus Barty, me versus Wolfie, and then Barty recorded me versus Maxwell. Me versus Maxwell, we were working. He can half-ass work, The kid's starting to catch on.
Mm-hmm. Fritz Von Hardy over here.
Fritz Von Hardy. You got it.
Getting things going. All right, Matt. Big news this week.
Huge news.
We find out Tuesday morning two things on the WWE side. Number one, well, three things actually. Number one, Vince McMahon shaved his mustache, which is
that you moved it up to three things because of that. You're so enamored with the mustache.
I mean,
love it.
We don't have Errol Flynn running the WWE executive board anymore, so that's a good thing. Thank you, Darren, for the birthday wishes. Much appreciated. Thanks for hopping in.
Yeah. Thank you, Darren.
But that was number one.
So do you think the Bucks of Youth will shave their mustaches now?
Are you telling me there was a correlation between those?
Oh boy.
Number two, your boy Dwayne is now on the TKO executive board, the board
Yeah.
of directors, and he retains, for the first time since he was a wrestler, he can use the moniker The Rock for anything he wants to. He has ownership over it for the next decade, which is a pretty significant turn of events, which we'll hit on in a little bit. But most importantly, Matt Hardy, WWE agrees to a 10-year, $5 billion deal.
Do you mean 5 billion?
$5 billion deal, a content deal with Netflix. And that is going to see the domestic rights and international rights to Monday Night Raw move to Netflix come January of 2025. Netflix is going to pick up a ton of international programming in a lot of its markets for WWE, including the rights to NXT and SmackDown to air those, plus documentaries and additional Netflix exclusive WWE content. In also the PLEs internationally will be on Netflix, which is massive.
Yes.
WWE will remain with Peacock through the duration of its deal at minimum domestically for the premium live events. Significant move, Matt. We talked about the possibilities of streaming coming into the fold. I always kind of felt like that was going to be the direction. I had thought maybe Amazon, but instead Netflix swipes in here for a ton of money. When you heard the news, what went through your head?
It was big. It was shocking. As I had said earlier, I had a very chaotic morning, and I know I spoke to you. You kind of broke it to me, and I saw like WWE and Netflix. I saw those were two trending terms at one point, but I didn't read into the news. And then like once I heard that, and I started hearing the details, and I kind of educated myself on what was going on. That's a massive deal. That's a huge deal, and just the fact that they have this massive platform from Netflix that like. Literally, you could put out your own WWE branded content pretty much without limit. It's not like it's like a TV station where you have certain time. I mean, everything is streaming. So, I mean, that would allow for so many projects outside of just the regular pro wrestling. I mean, you could have The Undertaker have a show. You could have guys that are retired that can't wrestle. You know what I mean? I mean, the potentials are endless when it comes to that. But the fact that WWE is putting Raw on Netflix, I know this was a big Vince thing, but I'm sure it is embedded in the WWE mindset. Make sure to say this is very important. WWE are the first company ever to have their flagship program streaming, the first ever, because first evers were always a great way to try and get your point over in WWE if you're trying to sell something. If it was the first ever, that was a strong selling point with Vince, and I'm sure it still is. It's like embedded in the WWE culture right now.
Well, that was exactly why I thought they would go to streaming, because they wanted to be the first of all the major promotions and companies, and not even just wrestling, but generally live properties to have something like this. You know, the NFL has the streaming on Amazon, baseball had Apple TV, MLS has Paramount, but Netflix was like, and you know, that's the brand, right? For streaming.
Yeah.
Netflix is, they're the WWE of streaming.
Yeah, I mean they're the OGs of streaming,
right?
When it comes
So
down to it.
they were so hell-bent on not adding live sports properties, but they come out and say, well, you know, WWE fits the brand of sports entertainment, which falls in line with the type of content that we want to distribute. And now all of a sudden WWE can say this. You look back 10 years ago when WWE goes over the top and they launched the WWE Network. They're the first to do something like that.
Right.
Now you're teaming up with a legitimate production company in Netflix and creating this synergy for a platform that is unparalleled in the history of this industry. We're in a scenario now, Matt, where WWE is no longer exclusively on linear television. Did you ever think we'd see a day like this?
I mean, yes, I did. I mean, it's evolution, right? Times change, technology change. As much as we might dislike it or hate it or want to deny it, we have to face the reality that times change. everything changes, and streaming is definitely something that has changed. It becomes more and more relevant. It becomes more and more prevalent in our lives every single day. So yes, I knew this day would come. Did I know it would come today on January the 23rd or 22nd, whatever day it is, 2024? No, not specifically, but I knew it was coming sooner rather than later.
Yeah. It's going to open up Pandora's box for the possibilities of content and also the way in which pro wrestling is consumed across the board. Let's talk about just the idea of streaming and adapting to that in the first place, because that's also a conversation that can have relevance to AEW. And we're going to talk about AEW and its television deal in a little bit on this episode too, because I do think there's somewhat of a trickle down. But we're so conditioned that Monday Night Raw specifically has been a flagship on our television stations for the past 30 plus years, right? And now, if you want to consume it, you're going to have to be subscribed to this one particular service. People are creatures of habit. And I know you don't have any business insight on this, but what's your thought on whether or not people will actually be willing to make that jump to an over-the-top streaming service to watch something that they've been so accustomed to just turning their TVs on and queuing up every week?
I mean, a diehard WWE fan, there's a great chance they'll get Netflix, because I have people that tell me all the time, like, I watch you on AEW and I watch WWE, Raw, and whatever else, and say the only reason I get cable is so I can watch my wrestling, so I can get my wrestling fix. I mean, there's going to be some people, like, when wrestling isn't on cable anymore, they're just going to drop cable in general because they're that diehard of wrestling fans. So if you're a wrestling fan and you love your content, especially if you're very loyal to the brand WWE, hell yeah, they'll subscribe to Netflix, and they'll probably check out other benefits, but they will arrive at that destination just because of WWE. Probably wouldn't have otherwise, but they will, because loyal, diehard WWEs are going to follow it. WWE fans are going to follow it wherever it goes.
And like, also, it's not like this move is made without doing proper market research, right?
Sure,
like,
sure.
You know that these companies are doing focus groups and surveys where they're determining the demographic that they're serving and seeing if the casual WWE fan has access to Hulu or Netflix or Amazon. And clearly, if they didn't feel that there was going to be a market there for it, this is not a move that you make, right?
Right. I mean, they do their research, especially now more than ever. They have so many people there that are out to sniff out what's going to work and what's not going to work, especially when it comes to the demo and the numbers, and they're on top of all that, man. They have been for a long time, especially since the WWE Network started. You know, they really had to up their game at that time and, like, find out what they have to do to make this product work. And I feel like once they kind of reached a point where they plateaued with the WWE Network, then they did a smart move. Then they went to Peacock, right? And they did that deal, and now they found a way to even grow larger and bigger than that. So yeah, they've definitely done their homework, and they know this is a big W.
Were you ever part of that in the 90s or 2000s with focus groups or research? Like, did anyone ever come up to you and was like, hey, we did our research is showing that the Hardys relate to this demographic a lot? Or, like, did anyone ever approach you from the office about stuff like that?
I have heard some focus groups about some of the demo. I mean, especially when we began, once we were with Michael Hayes and we did the evolution and we dressed differently, very young, very hip, whatever. Once we formed Team Extreme, I remember we had some of the youngest demographics, and they said that was vital. Like, that was very important to their business. That they had acts that would attract those younger viewers in that younger demo. And we were some of the people that did it week in and week out.
Well, and that's part of that famous story too with Freddie Prinze, where he talked about when he was making the pitch for Jeff to win the world title, that
right,
merchandise wise, Jeff had the largest appeal at that time, right?
Yes.
So it's clear that this stuff is done ahead of time, and they wouldn't make a move like this if they didn't feel like the audience was going to make that move over. It's just, now we have to look at WWE specifically, but eventually other companies too, through the lens of they're no longer just a TV wrestling program.
Right.
WWE, Matt, is now Stranger Things. WWE is Euphoria. It's the same equivalence in something like that. And I think that's something that people, just because of how they're conditioned, it might take some time to come around to that. What do you feel?
I mean, yes, I do think so, but I mean, you're right. It's once again, it's a great job of branding the product, and I think much like, there's things that happen on Disney. Say for instance, Tron the movie, right? Tron the movie had circulated, it got redone and whatever, and is it a Disney property now? The movie Tron.
Yeah.
I don't know this. I would guess that. So then they build this whole ride out of it, and it's like part of the theme park. I mean, I see this could allow WWE to reach new heights in areas like that, where they're able to brand stuff out in pop culture because it is so well known, and the reach that Netflix has around the world is unprecedented. When it comes to thinking about getting eyeballs on your product, I want to go back to right when we first started, 1994, the first time that we started with the WWF, right? May 1994, the first time we got booked there. I remember showing up, and the guys would come up, they would get a $200 draw, right? Depending on how much you made, whether it was 500, whether it was 1,000, whether it was 1,500, they would get a 500, they would get a $200 draw. They'd get the rest of their money on their paycheck. That was the deal. Draws were a big thing. And they were around until 1999. We got them for a year or so. Once we started, maybe a year and a half. But draws were a deal where it was cash. You'd come in, you'd work all these house shows, you'd get a payday for each house show, and then you would get some paydays for the pay-per-view. I mean, you get paydays for TV, and then once a pay-per-view did happen, and back then it was the Big Four, right? You would get an extra bonus for that because it was, they made more money and it accumulated more money, but they were like taking money from such a small basket. It was in a small basket when you look at that. Now these television rights have just exploded. And this Netflix deal, when you think about that, when you think about 10 years for $5 billion, that's massive. And now you have to think about how this is going to allow them to like brand so many things outside of just WWE on a streaming service or WWE on TV, because like it is now ingrained in pop culture, because like Netflix more than anything else, I feel like it's like head and shoulders in pop culture right now, right? That's what there was that slogan for the longest time. How old is it now? 6 years old, 7 years old, Netflix and chill. When did that come out? But I mean, that has been like a thing, and it's still, people still say that all the time because Netflix is like the premier service. It is the mecca of streaming services right now, and WWE is on that, and it's going to lead them to branch out and brand in so many different ways.
Well, you know what you can do now? You can Netflix and chill Raw.
Yeah, you can Netflix and chill Raw. You can. Maybe you'll end up with a House Hardy too. Maybe you'll end up with a Gaggle as well.
Yeah, it's so funny that you brought up the theme park comparison, because on Strictly Business this week, I said the same thing. I was like, we're not far off from a WWE theme park, and you'll have a Cody Rhodes roller coaster where you keep climbing up, and you almost get to the top, but you never quite get over the top.
Oh my God, what a great zinger. Wow.
You can't quite finish, You can't quite finish. And too, Matt, it's amazing because Netflix, with this deal, it's been reported that after 5 years, they can opt out if they don't like how it's going, or they can extend for an additional 10 years. So this deal could be a 5-year deal, or it could be a 20-year deal.
Gotcha. So the 10 years though is, you're saying whenever we get to year number 5, if they don't like, they can opt out, or can they add 10 on? Is it 15, or can they add 10?
No, it would be 10 from the end of the expiration.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So this could be up to a 20-year deal.
There you have it.
Absolutely bizarre. And like, you never know what the landscape's going to be. Like, now we just had a couple weeks ago, we had Peacock streaming the NFL games, and they did 23 million viewers for the playoff game.
Right.
It was absolutely massive, because there just is there is a desire for this content, and especially when it comes to live sports properties. And if you want to be putting some money down on live sports, we're going to help you here over at the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy with our friends over at DraftKings and the DraftKings Sportsbook app. The DraftKings Sportsbook app is an official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs, and it's bringing you an offer It's going to help make the playoffs absolutely electrifying and perhaps even wonderful.
Delightful.
There you go. New customers can bet $5 on any game and get 200 instantly in bonus bets. Now, Matt Hardy, this past week we saw the divisional round leading us into the championship weekend. It was crazy. Right after the games, the lines were -3.5 for the Ravens over the Chiefs. And I believe that the Lions were 7-point underdogs going against the San Francisco 49ers. We won our DK Sportsbook King of the Mountain challenge here. So I got to ask you to make your picks. Who's headed to the Super Bowl between the Lions and the Niners and then the Ravens and the Chiefs?
I got to tell you, in my Super Bowl, I had a very powerful premonition. And I think we're looking at a Baltimore Ravens, Detroit Lions Super Bowl.
Wow. So you're riding the Lions, huh?
Yeah, I have a very, very strong feeling, and it won't leave me, that the Detroit Lions are going to be the Super Bowl champs this year.
Being the Super Bowl champs, you're calling them going all the way, huh?
I'm going all the way, man.
Wow.
I feel the Detroit Lions, and if not the Detroit Lions, then I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. But Detroit Lions, they've really got a hold on me right now.
Okay. The Lions story is absolutely amazing. It really is. Just so happy for those tortured Detroit Lions fans getting a chance to finally see this team succeed.
You don't understand how hard it is to be from Detroit when you're a sports fan.
That's right. I mean, they haven't had success literally since the year your wrestling career started. And you're old as hell. So put that in perspective.
Yeah.
Put that in perspective. All right, Matt's going with the Ravens, and he's going with the Lions. I'm going with the Ravens. And you know what? I'll go with the Lions too. Let's make it fun, right? Let's go with the underdog in the NFC. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Hardy. New customers can bet just $5 to get 200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code Hardy, HARDY. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. And we thank DraftKings for sponsoring the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. Ugh. This reads always take a little bit out of me, but we're back at it.
You killed it. You're killing it.
We're trying. Josh says, I wonder if the extension escalates in value due to raising TV fees that will likely continue to increase. And what he means by that is, hypothetically, if Netflix were to opt in for the additional 10 years, would they still be paying the same rate? And the answer is, as far as I understand it, it would not. It would be based on what the market value at the time is. So that would be interesting. And whatever the market value is at the time, we don't know, obviously, in the future. Now, it was reported, Matt, by Alex Sherman that with this move, at least to start, if you have the top tier with Netflix where there are no ads and it's ad-free, like ad-free shows where you can find this podcast, you're just going to see the full broadcast of Raw without commercials. And that's kind of a game changer too in its own right. It's kind of like what AEW has going now with Fight, right? With Triller TV.
Yeah, it is. That is interesting. Yeah, I guess too. Then that means if they fill 3 hours and there's going to be some advertisements and commercials, then there's got to be a version of the show that fills all that time. You know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So the ad tiers would have airs that would go in, but if you're not on the ad tier, you just be seeing 3 straight hours. If this show is even still 3 hours, we don't know. It might not be, for all we know.
Right.
But if it is, you're just going to see the raw feed for 3 hours. Does that change how you wrestle? Because a lot of times when a match goes to commercial, you'll go into a rest hold or something that's not taking up too much action so that the crowd's not missing anything at home. Does that approach change at all when you know that there's no commercials?
AEW, it doesn't change a lot. If you were going to go into a hold, and man, I think there are reasons if you're telling a story in a match to go into a hold, and I think it's fine. I think it's justified, and I think it is good for the story, and it's good to let the crowd catch their breath and kind of like, re-energize to kind of get next, get popped and get hyped for your next high spot. But like, yes, typically if you go into a hold, it's going to happen during that commercial break, or you're probably not going to do anything as major because it is so much smaller than the regular screen. You want to try and do your biggest content when it's full screen and the viewer, you have the viewer's full attention. As far as being in picture, we still try and keep the action moving. That doesn't change. We don't really like try and slow down because of the commercial breaks. We just try and work a little smarter, I would say. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what the format of the show would look like with no breaks, because then are you going to have someone maybe that isn't appearing on the show come out and do a special promo while the ad version goes to an advertisement break and they're showing whatever the advertiser wants. So that's going to be really interesting how that's going to be set up.
I know I'm getting into the weeds here, but I do think this is interesting and people would probably like to know more about it. So when you're structuring a match and you know that there's going to be commercials in the match, are you going over that with a producer and say, okay, we're going to do this, and that's where you take a commercial? Are they going to suggest a spot where to take a commercial? Is the ref communicating to you when you're in the commercial? How does that process work?
I mean, usually try, and this has always been the case, even if there wasn't picture-in-picture. Whenever you're going to commercial break, you want to have some sort of interesting spot or segment that is going to hook the viewer and make them want to see what happens when you come back on. So that's still what we do. And then you work throughout the commercial break. And I feel like you try and still keep the continuity of whatever kind of story you're telling. You try and keep the momentum, although you try and not feature your best stuff at that point because it isn't full screen, right? You don't have the full viewer's attention because there's also a commercial running right beside it.
I guess what I'm asking is, are you communicating that to the producer? Like, I'm going to do a dive to the outside and that's where you can take a commercial? Or,
yes.
Okay.
The production people will typically ask, what is your break spot? And what do you want to come back up on? And those are usually two crucial parts that people will know.
That's what I wanted to know.
That's not cool. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes things change. Sometimes when you're doing live TV, sometimes the times change. There's been times where I've been out and I've expected a 2-minute and 20-second break, and it's been 3 minutes. So you never know. I mean, a lot of it is still filling, and there's a lot of communication going on.
Is the ref communicating to you that you're back?
Yes, usually you're going to have a good idea from your ref. Someone in the match is going to know when you're coming back up.
Okay, that's good. That's really interesting information. That's not stuff that people really know at home, how that stuff is actually set up. We got PJ in here, says, hey, what's up, PJ? Good to have you.
What up, PJ?
In with us here. Adfreeshows.com, of course, guys, gets you live taping access to this podcast and many others on Conrad's network. That's so fascinating. So thank you for sharing that. Now, the deal is so massive because it shuts down what had been a major rumor, which was Warner Brothers Discovery being involved with WWE, right? Like that was making the rounds, and it had some people on the edge. I'm sure it had some people in AEW, whether they want to publicly say it or not, on the edge, just because Warner Brothers Discovery has been so important to AEW's growth over the course of the past several years. And now that worry is off the table. So AEW, we know, is in a negotiation period for its television rights. Tony Khan has spoken ad nauseum about that, and he feels that the relationship between Warner Brothers Discovery and AEW is very strong. Mm-hmm. What was your reaction in that regard when you heard this news?
I mean, that was a positive, obviously. AEW needs to be around. We don't need AEW not own Warner Brothers Discovery. It needs to be around. And, we want AEW to continue to grow. We want to continue to try and grow it. We want another place for people to work. We want another major wrestling promotion. And the more wrestling promotions that do well, the better it is for the health of the business and the health of all of the employees and independent contractors in the business as well.
So the way I see it is, if WWE is locked up with Netflix, That takes away some negotiating momentum from Warner Brothers Discovery and some leverage from them that they might have had prior to that. I still think that the NBA rights are paramount for Warner Brothers Discovery and first priority more than anything else, just because of the inherent
Right.
value of the NBA. We
Sure.
know how powerful the NBA brand is. But then there's also been these rumors of a potential merger between Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount. And who knows what that could mean too. But the Warner Brothers Discovery value that it brings to AEW can't be understated. From your perspective, Matt, what have you seen that relationship like, beyond the surface level that many of us see on the outside? Are the talent involved a lot with Warner Brothers Discovery executives or anything of that nature?
No, we're not. I mean, you have, Tony is obviously the guy that is going to stay in contact with those people. Sometimes we see some of the, Warner Brother people around, Warner Brother Discovery people around, and we say hello or get to chat with them or speak to them for a little bit whenever they show up. But no, it's a great thing. It's very positive to hear that, these negotiations are continually ongoing, and I am very confident they will resign and they'll both meet a very happy place. Because once again, AEW still delivers some of the highest rated programming every single week, regardless of what people that like to project tribalism or what the haters say, whatever it is. AEW is still creating great TV that is creating good buzz and creating good numbers. So it is going to find a home on Warner Brothers Discovery and hopefully continue to move up to the next level.
Yeah. What do you think can take it to the next level?
Once again, in my opinion, and I had an interview last night with a really interesting guy from Toronto on Sirius XM. His name was Ari something. I wonder if you would know who he is, but he does a show in Toronto, obviously, and he's just a huge wrestling fan at the end of the day. And we were just talking about, all kinds of different things. And he said for him, what got him involved in stories more than anything else, he said there's some great action now. He said, but it was the actual story and the characters and like the journey they were on. I said, I completely agree. I mean, I think great diehard wrestling matches, bangers or 5-star matches, they're great, but they're not the be all end all. At the end of the day, I think the most important thing is storytelling and just having characters on your show. And AEW has some characters on the show that people are really invested in. MJF is, one of the top ones that I think about that's, that is homegrown. But I think it's just important to get as many of those characters that people really are invested in, that they care about, because they're on a really intriguing journey. And you want to see them overcome something. You want to see them reach some destination, whatever it may be. And I think that is how you grow your audience. I think that's paramount. I think that's more important than anything.
So there's not anything, because you're talking about making the next level. There's nothing that you could see necessarily Warner Brothers Discovery doing as part of a new TV deal that would help elevate AEW further. You think it comes from
I mean, if that's what you're saying, I was just talking about from an AEW.
No, I mean, what you said is fair. I'm just curious, logistically, is there anything that you could see that would help elevate the company to that next?
Well, I think something that would be great if it was worked out in whatever negotiations. I know Max, is associated with them, and to be available on some streaming service and be able to put special events on there or do a simulcast or whatever it may be. Those are things that would definitely help. And I think it's very, very much in the news, just because obviously WWE became the first wrestling company to stream their flagship show. So I think that would be something that would kind of almost be like a counterpunch in some ways.
Yeah, Andrew Zarin reported this Tuesday that part of the AEW discussions have been the idea that Dynamite, Collision, Rampage would be simulcast on Max. So right now you can watch AEW on streaming if you have the TBS or TNT app, and you have to be a cable subscriber. But this would allow you to be a subscriber of either cable or Max specifically, and you could watch on either end as the show is going on. You see that as being something that would help grow business for the company?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think if there are more ways for people to see your product, I think that's beneficial, because there are a lot of people I know that go, "Oh, I've cut the cable. I don't watch TV anymore. I just stream now." I hear a lot of people say that. What about you, John? Do you know people that are like that?
Oh yeah,
That are just
I was
stop subscribing to cable and they stream?
I was very much as someone who worked in TV. I was cutting the cord even just because there really wasn't much reason for me to be paying for a bunch of channels that I didn't watch. But the flip side to that now is everything is becoming a la carte. So you're essentially paying the same price as you would for cable. So it's this vicious cycle where you end up essentially paying the same amount, but that could be a detriment too.
I mean, I do think the more, if you're on different variations of platforms where people who intake their television in different ways, I think that's a way to also grow your audience.
Well, yeah, but one of the criticisms too of all this move to streaming, Matt, has been that people who are in more rural areas like yourself, who don't have great internet connection, might not have the accessibility to stream at the same rate that others do. I mean, could you see that being an issue?
I mean, sure, that's a possibility, but I mean, I feel like where we're at, even here, I feel like that within hello, how are you? I feel like within within the next 4, 5, 6 years, I mean, I feel like you're going to have a pretty solid ability to stream wherever you're at, because they're constantly reaching out into more podunk, more rural areas at all times.
We're having a House Hardy invasion here.
Oh boy.
I saw Maxwell.
Oh boy, we are having an invasion, guys. Why are you giving me an invasion? I'm doing a live podcast. At least stand up and say hello, Maxwell.
This is like Bagwell and Booker T in Tacoma.
Oh yeah, this is you're who are you? Are you Booker T or are you Bagwell?
Maxwell.
Who are you? You Booker T or you Bagwell?
Boise.
Oh boy, here comes Charmel in. Look at that. We got them all in here. Oh, thank you. Flowers for me? Oh, thank you, Ever.
We don't have all of them.
They're so beautiful. Thank you.
These are the beauties of the House Hardy, the House Hardy tapings that we do.
Yes. You never know what you're going to get.
Would you like something to happen at the Hardy compound?
All right. Thank you.
Well, here's what I'll tell you, Matt. Yeah, the one way,
we're good.
You might not have actual streaming access if you are in a rural area, or you might not have great cable access in a rural area. But one thing that you can do to ensure that you are seeing an event in person is by heading on over to Game Time and downloading the Game Time app, using that promo code Hardy and getting $20 off your first purchase. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event, whether it is a concert, whether it is a comedy show, whether it is theater, whether it is, hypothetically speaking, AEW Dynamite, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time is going to help you take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Matt, you know what I did this past week? I went to Broadway. I saw some theater.
Okay, yeah. What'd you see?
I went to Back to the Future, the musical.
All right. Did you snag those tickets via Game Time?
I did snag the tickets via Game Time, and I snagged them the day before, and it was fantastic. My view was great. I made a great saving on the ticket. I wish the show was better, but at least Game Time.
But the ticket was really good.
Game Time helped me have a good time. What was that?
I said, but the ticket was really good.
The ticket was excellent. My view was amazing because I used the view from my seat tab on Game Time. I was able to see exactly what my view in the theater was going to be, and it was fantastic. The show visually was outstanding. It truly was. Back to the Future. You a big Back to the Future fan, the old movie?
I enjoy Back to the Future, yes.
Of course. There's a little Doc Brown in Broken Matt Hardy, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Well, especially with the hair.
Especially with the hair. He was in many of the memes right when Broken Man first started.
Yes, but the musical itself could have used, well, it could have been put over by some jobbers, let me tell you that, to enhance it. But I had a great time because Game Time made it so easy to purchase these tickets. What's your favorite part about Game Time?
I just like how it's just one and done. You can't beat it. One and done. We're going to go see the Paw Patrol.
We're making that happen.
Yeah. We're going to go see Peppa Pig. We're gonna go see Bluey. Game Time, one and done for all these people for the entire gaggle, and that's what I love the most about Game Time. They make it easy. They make my job easy.
Just one click, get it done. Take the
One
guesswork
click.
out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code HARDY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code HARDY, HARDY, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, absolutely guaranteed. Yeah, the musical just didn't hit with me, bro. Didn't hit with me. It's disappointing. Very much a Times Square musical, if that makes sense. I felt like, you know how when you go to the theme parks and they have like those 20-minute stage show versions of movies or other IPs that you could just go to while you're digesting your meal that you just had before you go on another ride?
Sure.
That's what I felt like I watched.
Gotcha.
And thankfully, Game Time helped me save money, so I didn't feel ripped off.
You felt a little shorted.
I felt a little shorted.
It was a little
Mouthpiece
short.
Murphy saying, Matt has a beautiful family. Couldn't happen to a better guy.
Oh, thank you there, Ms. Mouthpiece Murphy.
Ms. PJ says he really does. So
Thank you, PJ.
the other part of this, Matt, now is Dwayne getting the Rock IP, where for so long WWE had owned it and he had to go by Dwayne The Rock Johnson or just Dwayne Johnson. And now he can utilize The Rock in whatever endeavor that he would like to. He said that he sees himself versus Roman Reigns being a big-time WrestleMania match. Didn't say when, so maybe not necessarily this year. But, you know, Dwayne getting these rights and becoming a WWE board member. This is a guy that you used to run the territories with, and now he's one of the most powerful men, not just in Hollywood, but in UFC and WWE. What do you think of it?
Right, as well. And you know, looking back in hindsight too, it's wild that they didn't negotiate some kind of deal, because Rock was such a big deal and such a big movie star early on in his career, right? After he left WWE, and he was still coming back to WWE doing shots and whatnot. I'm surprised they still didn't give him access to the IP, that he didn't use it much more. You know, that's still wild. Just to think that now he has joined this and he's on the board with TKO, and now he has full rights to it for 10 years. You said, right? A decade. That's something. It's amazing. I saw a little interview when I was trying to catch up on the news, and I was trying to do my homework before we did this podcast. And he said, you know, he said on Netflix, it's a big deal for us. He said, we're doing 52 every single week. It's a live show. That's 52 shows a year. He said, that's a lot of, you know, eyebrows for the Rock to raise each week or whatever, which was very intriguing, very interesting, because it makes you think that, like, now that the Rock is involved in this, does he see himself being on the programming a little more? And maybe that's a sales pitch that they might use, like see the biggest star in the world, the Rock, Dwayne Johnson, you know, as a semi-regular making appearances on Raw.
And just think of the equity that comes with that, right? And
Huge.
more than anything, it just feels right that The Rock is back involved in WWE on a more full-time basis, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
And I think it's one of those things he can kind of come and go as he chooses, but he could still be involved in stuff. And I just think it opens up so many possibilities. You know, just, you know how WB, they have always done such a great job with like documentaries, you know, when they do the special videos to like follow someone's career from beginning to end, whatever, like the magic work that we do. I mean, you're going to see these things popping up now all the time on Netflix as a special in your WWE section, you know, and it allows so many possibilities, so many possibilities. You know, I could see The Undertaker. What does he call it? The Dead Man Show, One Dead Man. What is the name of the show that he does?
Yeah, he has his Patreon that is 6 feet under, I think it's called, or something of
6
that.
feet under.
Yeah.
I mean, I even wonder if you could see stuff like that popping up, you know, on Netflix. You could see Stone Cold show popping up on Netflix. I mean, who knows?
Did you see, by the way, I don't think you're officially involved with it, but they're doing an A&E documentary on the TLC matches.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Sure, you'll get royalties for that, huh?
Of course. Of course I'll see those. Of course I'll see those, John. You see how good I see them? Of course I'll see them.
Yeah.
Right here.
Exactly, Barty.
North Alamy, what's up, dude?
Is Barty a fan of The Rock? Does he know who The Rock is?
Barty, do you know who The Rock is?
Oh no.
Yep.
Yeah, one
It's
day.
that off.
But he do you know who Mr. Beast is?
Mr. B. Mr. Beast is Mr. Beast.
Okay, he knows who Mr. Beast is. He doesn't
How
know who
has
The Rock
Mr.
is.
Beast not gotten involved with WWE yet, by the way?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't even know until my kids like kind of because they like YouTube a lot, right? He's from
Yeah.
he lives a couple
He's
hours
from Greenville.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
wild. How about ECU?
Yeah, yeah. That's
I
not
didn't
too
even
far from
realize
you,
that.
right?
Yeah, it's a couple hours.
Yeah.
Not far at all.
That's crazy. And he has built a freaking empire, and I'm
Yeah.
shocked he has not
Yes.
been involved with WWE at some juncture. Yeah, maybe him and TK can have a billionaire off or something like that.
Right.
You know, AEW. Hey, listen, that'd be a great way to break into a whole new audience, trying to strike some sort of deal with something like that, right?
It would be, yeah. Don't touch that, buddy. Don't touch that.
And maybe PJ says maybe the gathering of the Juggalos could.
Oh boy, I've done that. I've done that before.
Juggalos. That's a wild fan base right there. But ICP, I can get down with that.
Hey, have you ever been to the gathering, John?
John,
No, I have not. What's up, Barty?
have you had fruit punch?
I have had fruit punch. I used to love fruit punch.
Well, then I have fruit punch.
Do you like
And
fruit punch?
Yeah, I love fruit.
He always tries to steal my fruit punch.
I always want somebody a fruit punch.
I know, you're obsessed.
Yeah, that's because it's so good.
You're obsessed with fruit punch and you're obsessed with the iPad. Yes or no? Is that true? That
Well,
means it's true.
If Dada gets those royalties from the A&E documentary, you'll have unlimited fruit punch forever.
There you have it. Unlimited fruit punch party.
John,
What's up, Barty?
do you know what the iPad and the Pepsi means?
What an iPad is?
And Pepsi.
An
Diet
iPad
Pepsi?
and Diet Pepsi. Yes, I think he knows what
They
those
are
are.
two very different things, but yes, I have seen both before.
Yes, he is aware of both. All right, Barty, you did a real good outtake, buddy.
Well, John,
What's up, Barty?
do you know what Baba?
What it means?
Mhm.
He said,
Well,
"Do you
what
know
means?
what Baba means?"
Baba?
Baba, yeah.
Bye bye or Baba?
Baba.
I don't know what Baba is. What's Baba?
Baba is their terminology that Wolfie and Maxwell made for baby. That's what they call Evie, the Baba.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they have their own terminology that they speak in.
Okay.
And Maxwell gets very frustrated with Barty. He goes, "Barty, would you stop asking questions?" And I mean, I'm sure you probably couldn't understand why after this nice little outtake of the extreme life of Matt Hardy.
This is staying in. This is staying in, right? I mean, he's learning the business. He's speaking his own business lingo right now.
Oh, he is.
Barty, do you know what kayfabe means?
No. What's kayfabe? mean?
Kayfabe is let's see. Kayfabe is when you do something bad at the house and you don't want your mom to find out, you say kayfabe this. Okay. You tell your brothers kayfabe this.
It more or less means this, Barty. You don't let people, you don't let them in on the bit.
You don't want
let them in
mama
on the
finding
bit.
out, you know.
And that happens a lot around this joint. A lot.
Well, Barty, is there anything else you'd like to say to everyone out there?
John, do you know what a Pokeball means?
Pokeball, yes. I
It
used to
means
play
you
with
catch
Pokemon.
something.
You can catch them. I used to play with Pokemon when I was your age.
Well, I'm 4 years old.
You are 4 years old, and I played with them when I was 5 years old.
He knows what both Pokeballs are and
Yeah.
Pokeballs.
I love a good Pokeball, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Pokeball.
Same.
Pokeball. It's not Pokeball.
Hey, Barty, we're going to finish the show, but can you give everyone a good delete before you go?
Say it.
Delete.
Thank you.
You're
That was
loud.
awesome. Good job,
All right,
Barty.
Good job.
Do you know Evie?
I do know Evie.
Maxwell, Barney's asking too many questions.
Uh-oh.
Barney, thanks, buddy. Oh my God, Maxwell gets so frustrated with him. Go do this.
You got the Riddler over there, man.
Yeah. All right, hey, let us finish up, buddy. Let us finish up. I know you're back.
This is good. This is quality podcasting here. Quality podcasting.
Yeah.
Hi,
Barty, let us finish, okay? We really got to finish
Hi.
before it's too late. All right.
Hi.
All right. Tell everybody bye. Say bye, Barty.
Bye.
Bye. We got to finish. We got to do work. All right. Go outside.
All right, Matt. Let's
All
let's
right.
put
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes.
let's
Bye.
put a bow tie on this conversation here. What do you think this all does for the industry? Just all these moves, man.
It's a positive. I think it grows business. It helps business expand. We grow into a bigger audience.
Can you put on the iPad?
No, take it to your mother.
Mama is in the building.
Okay, well then wait,
We preach authenticity here, folks.
because now I got to start again.
We love authenticity on this podcast.
Oh boy, authenticity for sure.
So you see it growing.
Evie, princess, princess.
What a rib. What a rib. This is great. I'm moving
right,
all
here you
this in.
All right, we're gonna go ahead. Let's hit that last question again.
Okay, let's try this.
What does it do
again.
for the
Ready,
business?
Matt?
Yes,
I'm leaving all this in. Matt, what does this all mean for the future of the industry?
it's a positive for the industry. It's good because it helps the business grow. It helps the reach of pro wrestling expand, and I think being able to be on a platform like Netflix, I feel like that greatly allows our fan base to grow as far as WWE goes and pro wrestling in general. And I think if that succeeds as well, I think that very much will lead AEW to do something on a streaming platform as well. Hopefully Max. I think that could be a big deal. So I just think as times change, as technology changes, as the way you are delivered, your content changes, I think pro wrestling in general is moving with the times. And I think that's a good thing. I think the more people that can get eyeballs on your product is a good thing. I think when younger people that do sit here with a device like this and watch their stuff, they're able to see your product and they don't sit at home because TV is archaic to them. I think it's a positive thing. And I think it helps you also build your fan base into a younger demographic.
Yeah. And it's more money for the talent, hopefully down the line too, right?
Yes, I mean that's always the goal. You want the talent, you want the company, you want the industry to do as good as possible. And it would be nice, if pro wrestling continues to grow and it starts to match up more to the actual professional wrestling. If professional wrestling actually lines up to like professional sports in some ways with the way guys are taken care of and the way they're paid and whatnot.
Yeah, we got Bobby, well, hell, Bobby in here. He says, how long do you think before linear TV is even gone? Do you ever see linear TV going away? Or
it's one of those things that is so interesting. If you would have asked me this 10 years ago, I may have said by 2024, 2025, but I don't know. I don't know if it fully goes away.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
I think when you think TV is going to fade away and become absolutely, thank you, Evie, become absolutely obsolete. I mean, I think that is incorrect. Almost like gas-powered cars aren't going to fade away and become obsolete in the immediate future. I mean, we're just not ready for that change. And I think it's almost like that with television as well. If that's a comparison I could draw to.
We will see. It's going to be an exciting time over the next decade to see how this industry continues to evolve and where we can consume this content. It's more visibility for pro wrestling. That's a big thing for everyone. And hopefully it means more opportunities for people down the line as well. I want to remind everyone out there to join us here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy you can head on over to advertisewithhardy.com to promote your business to the extreme. Get your product, get your business out in front of thousands of listeners every single week on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. Advertisewithhardy.com, and you sign up adfreeshows.com to get early access to this podcast and many, many more. We had PJ in here who is in for the first time ever, Matt, and he said that he will definitely be checking in on this one going forward from now on. And we are very grateful for that. You should check out our entire archives here.
Thank you, PJ.
We would love that. And make sure, guys, too, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it right there. There's that Box of Gimmicks QR code you can scan that now, or go over to boxofgimmicks.com. You search the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy store. There's so many cool gifts or GIFs for people to get if you would like to go that route, Matt. It's going to be a great way to put our t-shirts on your back and many, many more. And as we said, WrestleCon, you're going to be able to see the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy live. If you are in Philadelphia for WrestleMania, we will have more details on that next week and what that show is looking like. Leave that review for us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. How many stars should they be leaving us, Matt Hardy?
We would greatly appreciate 5-star reviews.
And then maybe you too will get Diet Coke and an iPad thrown in to enjoy this show as well, however you consume it. Matt, anything else you want to add here?
No, this is a fun talk. I love the fact that, this news kind of emerged today, kind of popped up out of the blue, and it was a topic that we got on here and we discussed and we talked about, we had a conversation about, and these are sometimes the most fun episodes.
Because anything can happen in the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. The words have been spoken. We'll see you next week.
Delete!